Merry Christmas, guys. The Chicago Bears get blown out by the Buffalo Bills by a score of 35-13 in a game which was actually really close until the fourth quarter, and a game in which I was actually really impressed by the Bears until the second half rolled around. What's going on, guys? I'm back with another Chicago Bears post-game reaction video, which I'll be doing after every single Bears game this year. Thankfully, there's only two more. This bad, painful season is almost over. We might even have the #1 pick, guys, this year because the Texans actually won today. So if the Texans win one more game and we lose out against the Vikings and the Lions, which we probably will because we don't have a good team this year, the Bears are actually going to have the #1 overall pick in the draft, which would be a very good Christmas gift for all of us, okay, to endure this bad year that we've had to endure. But talking about this game, guys, I'll be brief and short because obviously I know it's Christmas Eve. I wore my Christmas sweater again. I'm sure that you guys are going to be, talking with family, hanging out with family, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. But talking about this game, guys, let me talk about the first half, first of all. And obviously I was very impressed by the way in which the Bears played football in the first half, right? Because we had the lead. Obviously, they missed the field goal. They missed an extra point too, so we got a little bit lucky with them, missing out on some points. But the Bears defense did a phenomenal job against Josh Allen in that first half, okay? And I was really, really impressed by the play of our secondary, okay? Missing all the guys that we had out. Obviously, Eddie Jackson was not playing. Jalen Johnson, CB1, also was not playing. He's out for the year. So we had, undrafted guys like Josh Blackwell, guys like Jalen Jones, and for the most part, they played really, really well in that first half, okay? And Kyler Gordon, too, stepped up big time, okay? Kyler Gordon on his interception, that was the thing of beauty, okay? You saw that Josh Allen was predetermining where he was going to throw the football, so he dropped back in coverage and got the pick, okay? Leaping up and getting a ball against, one of the better quarterbacks in the league, okay? Baiting a quarterback like that into making a pretty bad mistake, okay? So I thought that was a very, very good play by Kyler Gordon, and he now has 2 interceptions in the last 2 weeks, which is big time for his development because Kyler Gordon now has been showing a lot of flashes of high-level play, okay? And it's not been the most consistent thing in the world. Obviously, he still has areas to grow in his game. Obviously, sometimes he's still relying a little bit too much on his athleticism to make plays, but he's getting a lot better now. The game is slowing down for him a lot recently, okay, after he's gotten time to sit for the time that he sat and probably just reflect on the season, okay? Because before the last couple games, he wasn't playing that well, but the last 2 games probably were his best of his young career so far. And he's also only 23 years old, right? So Kyler Gordon is going to continue getting better with time as he gets more experience. But talking about the other guys, like I mentioned, Josh Blackwell, okay? This guy is basically coming out of nowhere to be a very fantastic depth piece for the Chicago Bears, okay? He lays out a bunch of punishing hits. He's actually pretty reliable man-to-man, okay? For the most part, he has done pretty good one-in-man coverage, pretty decent in zone coverage too. Like, I can't really recall too many plays being allowed against Josh Blackwell specifically, okay? Jalen Jones has allowed some plays this year, but he's also been a pretty decent depth piece too, right? For being an undrafted guy. So I think both Jalen Jones and Josh Blackwell, they're physical guys, scrappy guys that obviously are not big names in the league, but you can keep them probably for next year as fantastic depth, right? Because if they have to play, they already know the system, they already know these coaches, they already have, experience playing under this coach, right? So that's going to be big time for the future years in which they may be called upon if we have injuries. So really good finds, guys, by Ryan Poles in undrafted free agency and also off of waivers. I think we claimed Josh Blackwell off of waivers earlier this year. He's been a fantastic depth piece for us. I think that Jaquan Brisker did have one play. It was either on Brisker or Jalen Jones in which, there's a shot to the corner of the end zone, okay, to Gabe Davis, which was completely wide open, okay? I'm not sure if the safety should have been there or, Blackwell should have stuck with him, whatever the case was, okay? That was either a miscommunication between the two or a bad play from one of those two. But besides that play, okay, in the first half, the Bears secondary played really, really well, okay? Stephon Diggs was basically a non-factor, in the entire game. I mean, even in the second half, right? Stephon Diggs did basically nothing the entire afternoon, which is pretty impressive against one of the best receivers in the game. Gabe Davis also only had 45 receiving yards. Josh Allen as a whole was not really a big factor through the air in this game. And he actually had one of his worst games, I would say, of the entire year, which, especially in the first half, the Bears baited him into making some bad mistakes. So defense pretty good in the first half. Obviously, it kind of fell apart in the second half. And that's partly because we just don't have the talent, guys, to match up against a team like the Buffalo Bills, okay? We don't have talent on the front seven to stop the running game, and that's what the Bills did against us in that second half, okay? Singletary had 12 carries for 106 yards and a touchdown. Josh Allen also had a pretty decently sized touchdown run too. And, for a team like the Bills that doesn't always run the football too much, they ran the football against the Bears because the weather was cold. Josh Allen was not doing that well passing the ball, and our run defense is one of the worst in all of football, okay? And not having Jack Sanborn, that was a big loss today too, as you guys saw, right? Because we didn't have the linebacker in the middle, okay, plugging up those lanes and getting the run stuffs that Jack Sanborn usually does. So obviously second half, bad performance by the defense, but I was, more than okay with what they did in this game, given the talent that they actually had on the field. So overall, I would say it was a very good coaching day, by Alan Williams and Matt Eberflus regarding the defense. So even though we allowed 35, I'm not too mad given the fact that we had so many guys out. But talking about the offense now, we only scored 13 points, which is not good, okay, no matter who you have out there. But considering the circumstances and the guys we actually had out there, okay, so against the number 2 defense in the NFL, we had a starting receiving core of N'Keal Harry, Byron Pringle, Nasimba Webster, Dante Pettis. We had backups on the offensive line. At one point, we had Dieter Eastland enter the game because Michael Schofield got injured. We had 3 guys out on the offensive line too, going up against the number 2 defense in the NFL. I'm sorry, that's an impossible task to ask Justin Fields to score a boatload of points by himself. Okay, that was not possible in this game. Partly also because Luke Getsy went ultra conservative in the second half, which I know that a lot of Bears fans on Twitter, even me myself, I was pissed at that at the time, right? Because he seemed to be just kind of throwing the game away, right? Because the Bears had multiple opportunities to score points in the second half, but we just ran the ball over and over and over again in situations in which it did not make sense necessarily to see the Bears running the football. Like at one point we had runs on first down, second down, third down, and fourth down. I think it was like 4th and 2. We passed the ball, right? But we didn't pass the ball until 4th down, which is pretty crazy. But in some ways, you could say that Luke Getsy was trying to protect Justin Fields by doing that, right? Because when we actually did drop back and pass, he got sacked a couple times. He didn't have much time to throw. Guys were not getting open. Our receivers also had 3 drops on the day, okay, on crucial downs. So the receivers obviously were playing terrible, and passing the ball too much in this game probably also would not have been successful. But in some situations, it probably would have made sense to pass the ball, okay, right? At least one of the first downs, maybe surprise them with a pass. So it was pretty predictable in the second half, Luke Getsy's play calling. But again, I cannot go crazy on the guy just yet because he has scraps to work with. And in this game, he did not even have scraps. He had leftovers of scraps, right? So could the Bears have been more aggressive in the second half? Yes, definitely. But we saw at the end of this game, Fields went down limping when he got hurt, okay, on that sack, because we're not a good offensive line in true pass sets, okay, when we have to drop back straight up and pass the ball, okay? So maybe we could have done more bootleg, play action types of passes, which we're actually working on the first drive. And that's one area where I will criticize Luke Getsy for him not doing, those types of plays in the second half and, at least trying to mix up things a little bit. So, definitely criticize Luke Getsy for that, but you can't go crazy on the guy, call for his head when he has such little to actually work with. And finally, talking about Justin Fields, guys, he didn't do too much in this game because he didn't have much to work with in this game, and he only had 23 passing attempts. So he went 15 for 23 for 119 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown. He had a very beautiful ball to Velus Jones in the second half, in which it was, leading the receiver down the field, kind of with 2 guys right next to him, right? So that was a very good throw, deep throw in cold weather too, okay? So he definitely has the arm talent to make special throws like that, and that was a very special throw by Justin Fields. But aside from that, he wasn't really doing that much, again, because guys were dropping passes. Cole Kmet had a drop. Dante Pettis had, I believe, multiple drops. So receivers definitely not helping him out. We also didn't pass the ball too much. The offensive line, when they had to actually drop back and pass, wasn't really that good. And they also took away Justin Fields' ability to run with the football. Okay, Justin Fields only had a couple carries in this game. Let me read the numbers, but Justin Fields had 7 carries for 11 yards. Okay, a season low, I believe. He wasn't able to run whatsoever in this game, partly because we weren't designing runs for him that much, which might be because they want to keep Justin Fields safe now for the rest of the year and not risk injury, which I'm okay with that, right? Because at this point, it doesn't matter for winning games. We just want to see QB1 healthy. But if you want to do that, then maybe just rest him for the rest of the year, right? So whatever the case is, okay, so we didn't call many runs, but also the Bills defense was very athletic at D-line. They had Kingsley Jonathan, a guy that we actually cut this year. Okay, he's a very athletic guy that was getting to the edge and containing Justin Fields pretty well. So they had a plan for Justin Fields' his mobility, and they executed that plan very, very well. So hats off to the Bills defense. But we also didn't attempt many design quarterback runs too. So, you know, overall, not a good day by the Bears offense, only scoring 13 points, not getting much going in the passing game, not being very efficient in the run game either, only 2.8 yards per carry. But that's to be expected when we have a roster this limited in talent. And even the guys that we have on the roster, they were not playing in this game because they're out for the year. So bad day by the offense. But lastly, I did want to talk about Velus Jones and his performance, because Velus Jones, man, he had his best game of the season by far. Okay, he had two really good kick returns, one of, I think it was like 40 yards, one of like 30 something yards. So really good field position he gave the Bears in those returns. And he also had obviously that deep reception, right, which he didn't drop, thank God. Okay, so that's a win for Velus Jones, having a good game like this in which he contributed to the Bears offense, had 52 receiving yards, had a couple good kick returns too. And, you know, if he's only going to be that for the Bears, okay, like a speedy down the field threat and a good kick returner, I'm okay with that, right? Because he was only a third round pick. And yes, it kind of sucks that we, you know, somewhat overvalued him, right? Not somewhat. We definitely overvalued him as a third round pick. But if he continues making plays like this, maybe he could make that selection not look as bad. And, you know, it's a big game for his confidence, right? To get a good game going like this, because going forward, right, the thing you need in this league is confidence. And hopefully he can continue doing stuff like this in the future. So that's basically all I want to say in this video, guys. I hope you guys have a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays, and I'll be back with my next video. I actually have a mock draft coming out on Monday, so keep a lookout for that. Hope you guys have a good night, and as always, bear down.